So right now you're looking at the chassis for making the robot. This particular chassis is basically the thing on which you are going to make your entire bot. You are seeing two holes over here and two holes over here. These are for the wheels. This chassis is a frame for the particular robot. The most important component of your robot making plan will be this DC motor that you're searching. Since there are 4 wheels, we'll be using 4 DC motors for connections into a particular circuit. Now this is a DC motor as and when it is having 45 RPM, which is the speed, rotations per minute. It is having 2 wires, one is the positive, which generally is the red wire, and a particular ground, which is the black wire. Basically this will be, or in general cases it will be the red wire which is positive and the black wire which is the neutral. But at times it happens that because of some manufacturing default it gets interchanged, so you don't have to worry about it. You just need to change your connections and get the proper result. This is the 6 mm shaft which we are having right now. This 6 mm shaft is going to fit into this particular wheel, which is going to be the next part of description. We are having this particular nut in the DC motor, which is being provided for you to connect to the chassis. We will be designing this particular nut is detachable from the DC motor. We will be particularly attaching this to your chassis, and later on the next important component in your robot making will be the switches that you are using. This particular switch that you are seeing right now is the Dpdt switch. Dpdt stands for double pole double throw, which means it is going to act in both the directions, either forward, backward. This current position which it is lying in is neutral. No movement will be there in this neutral position. So you can use this for 2 wheels of your particular robot and make them move either forward or backward. Behind this Dpdt switches you will be finding 6 particular pins. In these 6 pins you will have to make your wire connections so as to make them move forward or backward. The wire connection will be from terminal side 2 terminal 1 to side 1 terminal 3, side 1 terminal 1 to side 2 terminal 3, and connections taking apart from the 2 middle terminals. We will be discussing about the connections in our later modules. Now we have kept here the chassis and the 4 motors which you are going to make your robot with. We are having this DC motors, and as I told you earlier, we are having this detachable nut which is being there with the DC motor so as to connect it to the particular chassis. You can now find me unlocking or unfurling this particular nut and taking it, removing it from this particular kit. Invert your chassis, put this motor side inside this particular chassis, roll it again. You will be finding it small threads will be coming out of your DC motor. All you have to make sure is that all the threads in the DC motor are coming out. For that you have to roll it like you roll a cork and then put it into the particular position. Next thing is that you have to put back the nut you have taken out into the system with this way. So now you have learned how to fix this DC motor to your particular chassis. This is how your chassis is going to look after we have fit in all the 4 DC motors. Now we have come to the testing phase of our particular chassis and the motors. So we have taken a 12 volt DC supply from the AC supply, and we are going to test our each particular motors according to that. As you are seeing, this particular wires that I am having in my hand right now is the bus wires. These wires are the most and the best wires that you can use in your bot making. As you can see from the DC motor, we are having now 2 connections which are coming out. One I said was the neutral, which is the black one. Another is the positive, which is the red one. So we are now going to test whether it is going to move, whether the DC motor are going to move in the forward or the backward direction. To move it in the forward direction, both the DC motor should move like this in the clockwise manner towards forward. These two motors have the similar principle. These two also need to move in this particular direction according to the rotation of my hand. Now for testing of each individual DC motor, what you are supposed to do is, you have taken this particular wire from the supply. You can take anything from the supply, but make sure it is going to be DC one. You are having one positive wire and one ground wire from this particular DC motor, and we are going to now test it. First of all, what you do is you connect both the DC or the neutrally 0 points. So now once these two are connected, you are going to touch or make these two come in contact such that the motor is going to move. So once you start put it in contact, you observe that the motor is moving in one particular direction. Now you check whether all the motors will be moving in that particular direction or not. So we are going to right now observe the orientation of this DC motors. As you can see that we are having one red wire and one black wire. We are going to take two connections from the supply and connect to each individual wire. The one I am having with a black tape around it, and the one is without having any black tape, is just to distinguish between the two wires. Right now what we are going to do is we are going to test it. So I took the red and the black wire in my hands. I connected the black with this particular one wire which is without the particular tape. Now what I do is I connect the red wire to the wire which is being taped. We see the motion of this particular motor, and as you can see, you can easily imagine once you move it in the upside direction, you can easily imagine that it is moving in a clockwise direction. Just note the direction that this particular motion is common for all the DC motors. Now we are going to test it for the second DC motor. Same procedure we are going to follow. We are going to connect the black with the wire which is not being taped. We are going to wrap it, and then we are going to connect the red one with the taped one. And again we are observing the same orientation of the DC wheel, which provides us and gives us the idea that both the DC motors are having the same orientation. Right now we are going to test our third motor. So you can see the procedure is pretty normal what I did just earlier. We are going to wrap around this particular wire which is having the black wire along with the wire which is not taped. Then I am going to take this taped wire and I am going to connect it to the red wire. So you are seeing the orientation of this particular motor. You may imagine that it is going in the reverse direction. So as to reverse the polarity of this, all you need to do is you need to give your supply just the reverse. So I am going to give you a presentation on what you are going to do. Just remove this. For testing, we are going to now connect the red wire with the one which is not taped right now, and the black wire we are going to connect with the one which is taped. So now you see the orientation is now in the forward direction. So that removes the confusion how you can use your DC motors to give them the proper orientation. The same is going to happen with the fourth DC motor that we have used in our setup. For the fourth DC motor, we are going to connect the same. For moving in the forward direction, we'll be connecting the red wire and the wire which is not taped, and the second one is we are going to use the black wire to the one which is having the black tape. So now you can see the orientation is in the forward direction. So this is how you are going to guide your board to move either in the forward or the reverse direction. So now we saw how the motors are moving in this particular chassis. We observed that these two motors are moving in one direction and these two motors are moving in another direction. So what you need to do is you need to have two switches in your particular method of making this board, in which one switch is going to be connected to these two DC motors and the second switch is going to be connected to these two DC motors. Now you are going to have four modes of movement. One is forward, the backward, the left and the right movement. For the forward movement, all you have to do is to make your DC motors connected in such a way that they are operating in one particular direction, either in this way or in this way. For the backward movement, you just need to do the reverse one. Either you have to move the bot in this way or in this way. For left and right movement, all you have to do is make sure that one side of your bot is moving in one direction and the other side is moving in another direction. For example, if you are going to move to left, what you have to do is you have to move the DC motors in this side in the backward direction, and you have to move this particular DC motors in the forward direction, which is this. The backward direction was this. This will result in a movement like this and taking a left turn. Similar thing is going to happen for making a right turn. You are going to make these two motors move in a backward direction, which is like this, and these two motors move in a forward direction, which is like this. So it will finally give a movement of this direction. Next, we are going to observe the pairing of the motors. As we knew that these two motors are going to move in one particular orientation and these two motors are going to move in another particular orientation. So logically, we are having only one option, that we are going to pair these two motors and connect to one switch, and we are going to connect these two motors and connect to the other switch. For pairing, what we need to do is we are going to connect the red wires of each of the motor to each other, and the black wires are again going to be intertwined with each other. So this is simply making the connection. We have now paired these two red of these two motors. Similarly, taking the black wires into hands, we are going to rotate them, we are going to add them together, and we have paired the black wires as well. So now these two motors are paired to each other. Same strategy we are going to use for these two motors. We are going to intertwine these two wires such that the red wires become intertwined with each other and pairing occurs between these two motors. Similarly, we are going to add these two black wires so as to make these two particular motors paired. So now we have completed the pairing of all these four motors. So now we are going to add our wheels to our particular DC motors. So right now you are seeing a nut in this wheel. You are going to remove this nut very easily, and what you are going to do is you are going to connect this to the DC motor as with the proper orientation. So now you can see we have properly made them orient with each other. We are putting the nut inside this. So this is how your bot is going to look after you attach your DC motors and your wheels. What you are observing right now is the unfinished and the finished form of your Dpdt switch. In this unfinished form, you can already see the cross-link wires that we have already provided and we have told you earlier. So you are seeing these cross connections between the first and the third of every other side. What happens in the completed form is that we are having the same connection between the first and the third terminal of every other side. From the two middle terminals, we have taken two wires outside which are going to be connected to the supply part. These two wires that you are observing are coming, either you can take these two wires from the top end or the bottom end, that depends on you, but make sure you take them from the same side. These wires are going to get connected to the DC motors, which we are going to show in the next module. So right now you are observing the completed form of the chassis and the completed form of the Dpdt switches. This Dpdt switch we are going to use to control these two particular wheels, and the other Dpdt switch that we have over here is going to control these two particular DC motors. So we have extended the connection of the switch, and we are going to add this to one terminal, which is the black terminal. It is randomly done. You can connect to any part. Later on you can test the polarity of them and you can change or make some changes if required accordingly. So we have connected one terminal from this and we have attached it to the black wire. The second one we have taken and we are wrapping it around the red wire to make a connection. One more thing, all these connections that you are finding in the DPDT switches, you can always solder them so as to be more secure about your connections. Now we are moving on to the second side, where you are again finding that we are having one combined black wires. We are again using our same technique, and we are now winding these three wires together. Again we are going on and winding these other three wires together so as to form a complete loop, and so as to make the connection between the wheels and the DPDT switches. So this is like all the components that you will be requiring to make your board complete and make your board move. This point that you are seeing is one AC to DC adapter. I'm telling you one more time, this is like the most important part. You have to get the DC supply for all these things, for your DC motors and all. So make sure you have an AC to DC adapter with you. Do not use direct AC supplies in your system. Right now you are observing these two wires. You have taken these two wires so as to supply the current from the adapter that you are getting over here. We'll be getting that to connect to these two wires from these two ends, and these two wires from these two ends. Next one. So for simplicity, we are now going to connect the wires to make you understand how the connections are being made. You can see from these two DPDT switch, we are having the connection from the middle terminal. So we are going to simply take these wires, wind them up, and give supply to them after switching on the adapter from the other end. This is one pair that we have connected. Next, the other pair, which we are going to connect by winding it up. The similar thing we are going to do with both these wires. Again we are going to wind them up, and we are going to finish the connection by applying the same technique to the final wire. So now you are seeing we have completed our connection. All the connections have been made. You can have an overview of what is going on around, and next we will be showing you how to move a board with the help of the switches. One more important thing is that you should never leave these wires open just like that. Use a duct tape or a black tape so as to wrap them up, such that the current won't be any spark in your system. So now testing the operation of the DC motors and the switch. Whenever I am connecting the front portion of the switch, you can find that the two wheels on the right hand side are rotating. When I am doing it in reverse manner, they are rotating in the reverse way. The same I am going to apply with the switch in my other hand. Whenever I am putting it in forward direction, the two motors are revolving in a direction, while when I am doing it in opposite direction, both of them are rotating simultaneously in the opposite way. Now, to move in a straight path, all four wheels have to go in one straight movement. So all you have to do is to notice the proper orientation of the four wheels. Now clicking forward, you can see the direction of movement of the wheel. Clicking the other switch forward, you can see the direction of both the wheels. Now you can observe that both the wheels had the same direction. So you come to the conclusion that both the forward directions of the switches are having the same orientation. So to move the board in one particular direction, in the forward direction, all you have to do is to click your switches forward. So right now what you are noticing is all the four wheels are moving in one particular direction. To move them in the backward direction, you have to switch you have to switch in the opposite direction, which in this way. to either move to left or right, all you have to do is to change or use different switching operations in each of them. For this particular test, so right now we move on to the testing phase for the rotational part. All you have to do is to use different orientations for the switch. For example, if you are using the lower side of this switch, then you should use the upper side of the switch. For example, if I use this configuration, we are getting a result as in this. You see the bots move in a direction which is rotational. Now if you are going to use the opposite manner, we are going to we are using the upper connection for the left one and the lower connection for the right one, we are going to obtain a motion like this. So this is how you make your bot move. This is for the forward direction, this is the backward direction, this is to move in one day, this is to move in the another day. So this is like the final bot that we have prepared, and all these are the particular instruments that we have used for making this bot. You have seen this is like a rough model, so you have seen many loose connections and all everywhere. Just what you need to do is for all these connections, put a black tape around it to cover this, such that there is no case of sparking. You can use a box, you can fit these two switches in a box to make it more comfortable for you to operate. You should always check your connections, like there aren't any loose connections. You should solder all the points in this particular Dpdt switch, such that there is no chance that your wires are getting out or are getting loose or are getting disconnected. You should always check your motor before you are using anything, and make sure that you are using a DC supply every time. Thank you very much. For more details, please contact